On the court, all stars make assists look easy. Behind the back, no look, or off the backboard, they're dropping dimes non-stop. That's how we feel about coverage and savings. Combine your home and auto with State Farm and start your own assist highlight reel. After all, even all stars need an assist. Call agent Paul Dawning for help combining your home and auto and enjoy the savings. Dial 219-884-6947 or visit www.pauldawning.com. That's PAULDAWNING.com. Good afternoon, and welcome to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. I am your host, Kevin King. He is I, and I am him, the 800 Credit Score Man himself. And again, thank each and every one of you for coming in and listening to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. You know that I truly, truly appreciate it. So look, let me jump into what we're going to talk about today. Before I lose you, it is snowing outside from where I am today. So it rained, and then the weather got a little cold, and so now it's snowing, big old flakes too. So I'm going to show y'all, tell you guys today, we're going to talk about how to build your credit without having to spend a whole lot of money. So we're going to talk about that. I know oftentimes people think I need to rebuild my credit, and I need money to do so because you have things on your credit. You know, you got collections. The first thing you think about when you're talking about restoring your credit, you think about all of those bad debts that you have, that you potentially have. You think about the mountain of credit card debt you may have, and you're like, I need to pay that down, or what have you. You think about the collections that you have, and I need to come up with the money to actually pay those down. And so that's when we say forget about it, and we let the credit go by the wayside, and we just pay for it on the back end. And when I say you pay for it on the back end, because it translates itself into higher interest rates or even being denied some of the things that you want. So today we're going to talk about how to do it on the cheap, if you will. You might have to spend some money. Yeah, you might have to spend some money to get it done, but we're going to talk about how you go about doing that, and it helps you to build your credit score. And doing that does what? It lowers those interest rates that you may have to pay, and that puts and saves more money for your pocket. So we're going to do that today on the 800 Credit Score Man Show. We also have a great question of the day as well, and you know it's brought to you by Cute as a Cupcake, so make sure you stay tuned for that. All right, so let me jump into this and make this first thing. So you know I give these shout outs, and somebody wrote me on YouTube that listened to the show on YouTube, said, man, I like your show, but you got too many shout outs. Man, I agree with you. There are too many shout outs. I missed the show, so I had to throw some more in there. And sometimes they're just way too many shout outs. But I tell you this, if you wanted a shout out and I said, okay, cool, I'm going to give you your shout out, and you didn't get it, then you'd be mad at the 800 Credit Score Man. So I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to make sure that we get the shout outs in, as well as we're going to get this information to you. And I hope that's beneficial to you. So you people that don't like the shout outs, it's too many shout outs, then I hope you just ride with me for a little bit. All right. So let's do this. Let's jump into a shout out. This shout out is actually for all of you guys. I want to say thank you so very much for listening to the show earlier in the week. I believe it was Tuesday night, late Tuesday night, maybe early Wednesday morning. The 800 Credit Score Man Show hit 30,000 listeners on Spreaker and iTunes alone. So give yourself a hand clap. Thank you so very much for tuning in to the show. And I'm going to say this. You're listening to the show because you want to get these tips and all those things to get your credit score up. Now, when you get your credit score up, don't stop listening to the show. But some of you guys are. You're going to stop listening to the show. So I need you to share the show. Share the show with all the people that you think that they have bad credit. So yes, offend them if you have to, but let them know that you listen to this particular show and you want them to listen to the show too. Now, people that have good credit, they also listen to the show as well, because they find little tips and tools that they can use as well to help them along their credit journey as well. So make sure that you share the show. And again, thank you guys so very much for coming in and listening to the show. So since I said we're going to talk about building your credit without spending a ton of money today, let me tell you this. The first thing I want to tell you is this, that A good credit score isn't always about how much money you have. I told you guys in the past that Warren Buffett has said before that he does not have good credit. One of the most wealthiest men on this planet, and he does not have good credit. So it's not about necessarily how much money you have. It's about how well you manage the money that you do have. So maybe you need a budget. Maybe you need to rethink some things. Maybe you need to pick up a side job, a side hustle, if you will. Maybe you need to go to Uber or Lyft, or maybe you need to be the Domino's pizza delivery man. Whatever it is, you might have to get a little more cash so you can make sure that you can handle all of your expenses, especially your credit. So I've also mentioned to you before that even people that have had minimum wage jobs, they have good credit too. So just because you don't make a lot of money, it does not mean that you can't have a good credit score. So I want to make sure that you guys are aware of that first thing. Now let me throw one of these shout outs in here first. I want to shout out Dominique King. Dominique King is my niece. She celebrated her birthday on the 16th. So happy birthday to you all the way out there on the left coast. Happy birthday to you, Dominique. And so let me jump into one of the things I want to tell you about your credit and building it and keeping it and maintaining it. You need to stay active. Stay active with your credit. A lot of people think that if I don't owe anybody, then my credit should be good. I had credit before. I still have credit. I don't use my credit cards that much at all. My car is paid off. All I have is like my mortgage and what have you. So you're not very active with your credit at all. When the credit scoring systems, or whether it's FICO or if it's Vantage Score or if it's any of the credit bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, or Experian, they're looking at you and they're judging your credit worthiness by the activity and seeing if you can handle the different kinds of credit. So you need to stay active with it. So if you have a dormant, I call it a dormant credit card, you haven't used it in 4 or 5 years. I did that at one point in time with 2 credit cards, and I was amazed how high my credit score went after I used it just one time. You may need to do that. So you want to make sure that you stay active. One of the worst things that can happen if you aren't active is to have one of those cards close on you. So I had, just full disclosure, I had a credit card, and you seen the commercial, you heard the commercial. He went to Jared. So I had a Jared card. I used it a bunch of times, 3, 4 years in a row or what have you, and then I stopped using it. I went back to use the Jared card. I had not been notified or anything at all, and they told me that it was closed. So then that meant I needed to reapply because they couldn't open up my account without looking at my credit and all of those things. And you know how I feel about that. I don't want that inquiry on my credit report no more than you do. I don't want that inquiry even though I have a good credit score, but I had to have that inquiry again. And I'll tell you this, you need to take your advice from somebody that knows what they're talking about. Because when I was actually in Jared, that particular salesperson said to me, "Oh, it's not a hard inquiry. You don't have to worry about it. It's a soft inquiry because you already had an account." That was not the case at all. It was a hard inquiry. Anytime you are trying to get credit, you're trying to obtain credit from somebody else, from some company, some entity, it is going to be a hard inquiry. So, yes, it was a hard inquiry. It hit my credit report. Wasn't a big deal. Got my account, new account number, all that other stuff. But the point is, I didn't use it. I wasn't active with that particular account, and they closed it. They should have to, in my opinion, let you know if they're going to close your credit card for whatever reason. But if they're going to close it because they think you got too much, debt out there, or if they want to close because you haven't used it. Actually, had they contacted me and said, "Hey, we're going to close your card because you haven't used it," I probably would have went in there and bought myself a watch. I probably would have went in there and got my wife a pair of diamond earrings or something, and they could have got more money. So if you're listening to any of those credit card people out there, any of those companies, if you're listening, that's a tip for you to keep your customers and to keep them coming back. All right, so let me give you another shout out right quick before I jump to the next one for you. I want to shout out Nicole King. Yes, another relative of mine. Nicole celebrated her birthday on Monday, I believe, of last week, so she should have. I usually do my cutoff, so I usually do my cutoff on Wednesday. If your birthday hits on Wednesday, you're probably going to get your shout out the Saturday before your birthday. So Nicole should have been on there last week. So happy birthday to you, cuz Nicole New King. I actually saw her on Sunday right before her birthday. So happy birthday to you. All right, so let's jump back into how you can build your credit without spending a whole bunch of money. All right, here's one thing. Charge a little. Kind of the same thing I was saying about staying active. It keeps in line with the whole staying active portion. Charge a little. So you don't have to necessarily pay interest all of the time. You don't have to go ahead and charge something that's $800 or whatever it is, and then pay it back over time. Takes you forever to pay it back. That's unnecessary. You do not have to carry debt on your credit cards at all for you to get the quote unquote points, if you will, when it comes to your credit score. So, but you want to charge a little bit. Let them know that you're still there so they don't close it. And so the credit bureau can actually see, yes, this person is using it. Maybe this person pays it off every month, whatever it is. If you are scared, if you're afraid to use your credit because you've had issues in the past, you've gotten it under wraps or what have you, first of all, I always say, know thyself. So you know yourself. You can use that credit card just a itty bitty bit. Use it a little bit. One of the things you can do to use it is what I like to say is, go buy yourself a tank of gas on that particular card. You can pay it off. Go ahead and pay it off in a couple of days after you've done so. Wait till you get your statement. Go ahead and pay it off and do it within that time frame. Sometimes it's 25 days where you don't have to pay any interest at all. Sometimes they give you 30 days, whatever it is. Take a look at your credit card statement and see what they do in that regard. So that's what I'm saying to you. Go get you a tank of gas. Go ahead and go to dinner. Go to dinner somewhere inexpensive. You don't have to necessarily go out to a restaurant that's going to cost you $80, $90 for dinner necessarily, or $120, $250. You don't have to necessarily do that. Go out to dinner. I don't care if it's KFC. Go ahead and get that bucket of chicken and go ahead and use your credit card to do so. Then pay it off the next week. So stay active in that regard as well, and just charge a little. So you don't have to charge that trip to Vegas. You don't have to do all of that. You can just charge like your morning coffee even, if you will. So that's what I want you to do. You can also, on your credit cards, maybe you want to do something that's reoccurring on that particular card. So if you got a Netflix account or something like that, then you can use that account to pay for your Netflix, and then that it's going to be $20-$30 a month, whatever it is for you on that particular card. That'll keep it active, and you'll be good. You won't necessarily have to pay any interest either. So this already bill that you will be paying anyway. You will be paying that bill anyway, so you can do that to help you stay active and just charge a little bit so they'll know what's going on your credit card. But again, you do not have to hold a balance at all on your credit cards just so you can increase your credit score. But with this way, if you're fearful and you know yourself and you know you're going to continue to use it, it's like that first time you pull it out and you go ahead and you're going to use that credit card at whatever restaurant you are or what have you. So then it makes it a little easier for you to do it again the next time. This way, if you use it for something reoccurring like Netflix, or if you still get the newspaper, or whatever it is that you get, if that's the case, then you can leave that card at home. You don't have to carry that card in your wallet. That card's going to be used anyway, and you won't be tempted while you're out to do so. So that's another tip for you guys. All right, so let me give another shout out. I'm going to give these shout outs intermittently today. So let me give this shout out to Charles Blair. Charles Blair is an advocate listener to the show. I want to say happy birthday to him. We have had some very good conversations back and forth together. So thank you so much, Charles. I really appreciate it, and happy birthday to you. All right, so before I move on as well, let me give another shout out. I want to shout out Anitra Dillard. She celebrated her birthday earlier, so happy birthday to you, lady of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So happy birthday to you, Anitra. So let's jump on and go to something else right quick before I get to the question of the day. So let's talk about another thing that you can do that won't cost you a dime to do at all, And you can do, and this is one of my favorite things. So now I'm telling you, this is one of my favorite things. You should know, if you're an advocate listener, what is this that I want you to do? I want you to become an authorized user. Yes, becoming an authorized user is one